Welcome to the League of Nerds comic segment number 101. I'm John Cooney here to talk to you about comics released the 1st of January 2014. Happy New Year. We'll begin as usual with my first 5, meaning these are the first 5 books I intend to read this week, and I'll give you a little more depth on them, starting with at number 1, Guardians of the Galaxy number 10. Angela and Gamora go hunting. Special guest artist Kevin McGuire of Justice League, Batman Confidential, and X-Men. Guest artist Kevin McGuire chose to do this book after DC dismissed him from Justice League 3000. He explained why he picked this title. Quote, "Well, it's a fast-paced cosmic adventure with a quirky cast of characters, and that's exactly the kind of book I've been looking to do. Steve Wacker offered me a fill-in issue of most of the books he does, and for me, it was a no-brainer. Had to be Guardians of the Galaxy." Close quote. He went on to tell more about this issue in particular. Quote, "You can expect lots and lots of Angela and Gamora kicking ass. There'll be a pretty decent body count by the time the story's over, and a battle between Gamora and one of the finest creations in Marvel history. It's pretty much a standalone adventure involving them." Close quote. And he also shared what it's like working with Brian Michael Bendis. Quote, "Like all the best professionals, he gives the artist exactly what he needs, not just the nuts and bolts of a scene, but the context as well, what the action means to the character. I'm looking forward to doing more work with him." Close quote. At number 2, we've got New Avengers number 13, in Humanity tie-in, The Other Side. With the consequences of Infinity fresh on their minds, tough decisions are made. The gathering of the new Illuminati. We learn more about the other beings related to the incursions. With Black Bolt appearing on the cover of issue 13, series writer Jonathan Hickman explained his role after Infinity. Quote, "He intimately knows what's going on, and once you're aware of what's going on and what the stakes are, there's no divorcing yourself from the situation. He may be involved with some new situations now, but that doesn't mean the world's not going to end, so of course he's going to still be involved." Close quote. Editor Tom Brevoort added, quote, "He's in a very similar situation to the one that Namor is in and the Black Panther is in. His city wasn't bombed and he hasn't been cast out for conspiring with the enemy. He blew his city up and scattered his people to the wind. It's definitely a huge cultural change for the Inhumans, and yet if you stand them next to Namor and the Black Panther, you can see that they all have something in common. There's a commonality of place surrounding the Illuminati and that all the things they have been doing have brought them to where they currently are." Close quote. Hickman then responded, quote, "I don't think we're being subtle with the idea that all the kings have lost their castles." Close quote. At number 3, we've got Batman the Dark Knight number 26, a sweeping visual tale of Gotham City's forgotten citizens, the abused and the voiceless. Will these desperate souls find their angel in the Dark Knight? Find out in this special, mostly silent issue. Series writer Greg Hurwitz recently announced the cancellation of Batman the Dark Knight. Quote, "Batman is forever, but sadly not all of his titles are. Batman the Dark Knight will be ending with issue number 29. When I first signed on to do a single arc with David Finch, I never imagined I'd stay this long. Because of my work in novels and screenplays, I'm rarely sure what sorts of deadlines I'll be juggling at any time. So I usually commit to a single 6-issue story at a time and write way ahead of schedule. DC has been great and gracious about accommodating this, and because of their flexibility, I wound up writing the title for 2 really damn fun years." Close quote. He went on to tell about the remainder of the series, quote, "Before we take our bow, we still have great stuff in store for you. The gifted Alberto Ponticelli will be bringing to life a 2-parter that is very dear to my heart, and our Dark Knight finale issues will see my good buddy Van Sciver introducing a Man-Bat you've never seen before." Close quote. At number 4, we've got Justice League Dark number 26, a Forever Evil tie-in. The crime syndicate Sea King, last seen at the end of Trinity War, has cheated death and plagues the jail Dark team. Series writer J.M.D. Matties recently explained his attraction to the book. Quote, "I'm in love with the supernatural corners of the DC universe. There are so many incredible characters, from Swamp Thing to the Demon to Phantom Stranger to Constantine, just to name a few. These characters open themselves to a kind of storytelling that I feel very at home with. Mystical, philosophical, and eerie tales that explore the big questions about life, the universe, and everything, and do it in the context of wildly surreal adventures. Justice League Dark brings all these characters and themes together under one roof. It's a challenging and fun book to write." Close quote. He went on to tell his plans for the series, quote, "The driving force behind the upcoming story will be Constantine and his desperate desire to find Zatanna. After the events of Trinity War and the invasion of the crime syndicate, he doesn't know if Z and the rest of the team are alive or dead. John's less concerned with saving the world and more concerned with saving the woman he loves. That's what motivates him to put together a new team, which includes Nightmare Nurse, Swamp Thing, the Phantom Stranger, and Pandora. But how far will John go to save Zatanna? What compromises will he make? What sacrifices? It's going to be an interesting journey." Close quote. And at number 5, we've got Twilight Zone number 1, The Twilight Zone Issue 1. Trevor Richmond is a Wall Street investor who embezzled millions and is about to tank the economy. Again. Desperate to avoid the consequences for his actions, he goes to Expedited Services Inc., which offers to help him disappear and enjoy a life of leisure in a new life. But what exactly is this new life? How much is freedom worth? And what happens to the old life when someone else shows up to claim it? This is the first installment of 3 interlocking stories that will push the boundaries of the Twilight Zone into new and uncharted territory, a journey that will travel into the past and the future, into murder and revenge and the sunrise of nuclear Armageddon. From J. Michael Straczynski, Hugo-winning creator of Babylon 5, writer for Thor and Changeling and World War Z, as well as the 1988 Twilight Zone. Series writer J. Michael Straczynski shared his approach to the series, quote, "It's actually 3 separate stories from 3 points of view that slowly begin to merge together in one larger meta-story. One is a very grounded thriller, the other is a much bigger apocalyptic story, and the other deals with time travel. Some folks online have said that the issues should be standalone stories, but that misses a very key point. If you extract the amount of script from the average comic book, it's equal to maybe 10 or 12 TV script pages. So if you put 3 to 4 issues together, you have the equivalent of 1 half-hour TV episode. You can't do a Twilight Zone story in 10 pages or one 22-page comic book. You need to be able to establish and develop the character, and that takes time. You could never do a single comic book with the depth of storytelling you'd get in, say, The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street or The Obsolete Man. So by doing our stories in 4-issue arcs, we're doing just what we would have been doing in 1 episode. I'm doing 12 issues in 3 4-issue arcs. Each is built around a protagonist in one specific area who know or are associated with each other. The stories are told in sequence, each starting from a common point around that character. In the background of each story, however, we get glimpses of what's happening in the other 2 stories, meaning in the background of a scene with a Wall Street banker in Arc 1, we see an investigator from the second arc following a lead. So in essence, all 3 stories are happening simultaneously. It's like telling a story about character A from Monday through Saturday. You finish that story, then rewind the clock to Monday and show what happened to character B during the same period. You can print the stories as 3 individual arcs, or, and here's the fun of it, you could conceivably interleave the 3 stories like shuffling a deck of cards and turn the whole thing into one larger narrative that turns the whole thing around in the end. It's not a structure we've seen a lot before, so it's fun to do, though keeping track of all 3 stories so that the time frame is consistent throughout is a bit of a headache." Close quote. Rounding out the top 10, at number 6, we've got Forever Evil Argus number 3 of 6. Steve Trevor and his small band of surviving Argus agents track down the deadly Cheetah, who has Wonder Woman's lasso in her possession. That lasso could be the only hope of freeing the Justice League. At number 7, we've got Dead Boy Detectives number 1. From the pages of The Sandman, Neil Gaiman's Dead Boys get their own monthly series. His fans of storybook detectives, Edwin Payne, died 1916, and Charles Rowland, died 1990, will take on any and all mysteries, including their own untimely deaths. The Dead Boys head back to St. Hilarions, where bullying headmasters continue to rule the school. But when they investigate the lingering mysteries of their own deaths, they meet a young girl named Crystal whose tech skills and strange link to the undead earn her a place as a new detective. Dead Boy Detectives is a fast-paced adventure series that takes us from the bustling streets of contemporary London to Japanese-inspired video games and dangerous worlds perched somewhere between the now and nevermore. At number 8, we've got Terminator Salvation, The Final Battle number 2 of 12. As John Connor prepares for the final destruction of Skynet, the malicious computer intelligence devises its most terrifying plot ever, reaching into the past to find psychotic killers whose intelligences can be uploaded into the most lethal Terminators yet. Skynet may finally have a tool to destroy Connor. At number 9, we've got Rocket Girl number 3, Double Reagent. Changing the future is hard to do. Sparks fly when DeYoung becomes most wanted in 2 different New York cities. Police in battling time streams, 1986 and an alternate 2013, want to get their girl, but bringing her in is going to take a coordinated effort from a mysterious player who straddles both worlds. And at number 10, we've got Catwoman number 26. Catwoman's adventure in Gotham Underground comes to a deadly end as she tries to pull off a heist by pitting Dr. Phosphorus, Warhog, and the Joker's daughter against each other. For the best of the rest, from DC, we've got Damian Son of Batman number 3. Damian Wayne has been bruised and beaten to a pulp, but nothing before will compare to his latest confrontation with the horde of villains in this issue. When pitted against Professor Pig, DC Villains Month darling Jackanapes, and other baddies, how will Damian survive, especially when he finds a certain clown waiting for him at the finish line? Next, we've got Flash number 26. In this special standalone story, the Flash loses someone important to him. To catch the villain responsible, the Flash must figure out how to use his powers in the one place where they do him little good, the sky. We've also got Superman number 26. In the aftermath of Krypton Returns, a distraught Man of Steel returns to find the parasite is back and is very hungry. First on the menu, Lois Lane. We've also got Superman Unchained number 5. Superman and Wraith form an alliance to rescue a hostage and strike at the heart of Ascension, but the mission goes awry when it becomes clear the Man of Tomorrow and the Soldier from Beyond the Stars have very different methodologies and objectives, plus secrets are revealed about Wraith's people. We've also got Talon number 14. The Court of Owl's machinations threaten to tear Gotham City apart, and no one but Calvin Rose can take them down once and for all. And we've got Teen Titans number 26. Secrets are revealed and trusts tested as the Teen Titans finally begin to understand Kid Flash's criminal actions before he became a heroic member of the team. From Boom Studios, we've got Revelations number 1 of 6. Why We Love It. The creators of Fairy Quest, Paul Jenkins of Deathmatch and Wolverine Origin, and Humberto Ramos of Spider-Man Big Time, Wolverine Civil War, have created a compelling mystery thriller that is truly one of a kind. Why You'll Love It. The beautiful work of Humberto Ramos unfolds the story of religion, atheism, murder, and mystery as told by Paul Jenkins. Fans of BBC's Sherlock and Luther will not want to miss this tale of corruption through the eyes of an outsider. What it's about? A potential successor to the dying Pope is killed at the Vatican. Longtime atheist and hard-edged London detective Charlie Northern is put on the case by a Vatican priest and longtime forgotten friend. He must solve the case that the local police cannot, coming face to face with hundreds of years of conspiracy and corruption in the seat of the world's wealthiest religion. From Dark Horse Comics, we've got Michael Avon Oeming's The Victories number 8. The advisors succeed in combining champion DNA to turn themselves into the powerful post-humans in an effort to dominate the world. Heroes and villains must stand in their way, but nothing will stop the post-humans from taking their rightful place ruling the planet until the return of the visitors. Featuring an exclusive backup story illustrated by Mike Hawthorne of Deadpool. We've also got the Star Wars number 0, a companion to the 8-issue adaptation of the Star Wars. This is an exclusive peek behind the scenes at the designs that have brought a new yet incredibly familiar galaxy to life. Included in this volume are never-before-seen comic sequences that were used in Dark Horse's pitch to George Lucas. From Image Comics, we've got Clone number 13. Have you considered the moral and ethical ramifications of cloning? The balance between Luke's resistance and the anti-clone movement shifts here in what is sure to be the most intense issue of Clone yet. And we've got Manhattan Projects number 17, Unholy Alignment. The 4 secret programs of the Manhattan Projects collide, old friends at war, new alliances, and so much betrayal. Out in trades this week from IDW, we've got Doctor Who Prisoners of Time, the complete series hardcover. Prisoners of Time celebrates the 50th anniversary of Doctor Who with a tribute to one of the greatest pop culture heroes of all time in this special oversized hardcover, collecting all 12 issues, which tells an epic adventure featuring all 11 incarnations of the intrepid traveler through time and space known simply as the Doctor. Next, we have Doctor Who Series 3, Volume 4, Dead Man's Hand trade paperback. The Doctor and Clara cross paths with Oscar Wilde and Calamity Jane in the frontier town of Deadwood as they pay their respects to the recently passed Wild Bill Hickok. But soon they discover their grave is empty and that the town is being plagued by a masked gunman who shoots his victims with nothing but a finger. And from Valiant, we've got X-O Manowar Volume 4 Homecoming trade paperback, To This King, a Kingdom. With his nation-state of Dacia fortified in eastern Romania, X-O Manowar has bent the world to his will, but he will not stand unopposed. With the assembled forces of the United Nations and NATO primed to assail the newly founded homeland of the Visigoth people, the man inside the indestructible Manowar armor is about to find himself more vulnerable than ever, and with everything he holds dear on the threshold of a terrible turning point for the Valiant universe. Collecting X-O Manowar 15 through 18 and featuring X-O Manowar's first explosive confrontation with the Eternal Warrior. Start reading here as New York Times best-selling writer Robert Venditti of Green Lantern launch a bold new era for the series that superhero hype calls a must-read. Okay, so that's a few of my favorite books out this week. There's still plenty of others available. I broke out all the Marvel titles this week in their own video, with a separate video for all of DC, and even a video with the top independent publishers. You can find them all on my YouTube channel at he'sgotissues.com, and we'll also have links up on the leagueofnerds.com, our Facebook page, so be sure to like us there too. And of course, you can follow everything I'm reading on Facebook, Pinterest, Tumblr, or Twitter. You can find links to everything in the About section at he'sgotissues.com. And a reminder that both He's Got Issues and the League of Nerds are proud members of the Comics Podcast Network. So until next week, I'm John Cooney, and I've got issues.